So I guess as far as like throwing out the questions and stuff, um, the first thing I would probably ask is like not necessarily related to this game in particular, but just to you and games in general, of what got you interested in making video games.
Well, that's rather easy. Uh, I played just about every console from the Atari 2600 up till today because I am a Hungarian, and in our country, there's like a 10 to 15 year delay in technology.
Okay.
So when I was a kid, when others were getting their first PlayStations, I would get an Atari 2600. So, but there's beauty to it because despite I'm only 30, I feel like gaming wise I'm about 50 because I've seen just about every game from the beginning.
Right.
And I feel very fortunate about it. And even as a kid, I would have loved to make games, but I was more of an artist, more into drawing, really. And I went to art school and everything, and I went down very different paths that were not related to game design because I was always like, oh no, but the coding is a nightmare. You have to have top-notch mathematics for that, and you have to go to specialized schools. Back then it was true. It was much more hard to get started, obviously. So I'd never even dreamed of actually pulling it off. But when I was working on my little comic series and whatnot, I always imagined how my dream game would be. And it's still a concept that I eventually one day try to pull off. One day I will make it. But yeah, I was always into game design when I was playing games. I was always thinking of why stuff was working the way it was, why everything happened the way it did. So I always wanted to make games.
Okay, cool.
It only took until, well, about 2 years ago or 2.5 when I started to actually get into coding. When I decided that, well, I might as well give it a try because so many people managed to learn it. And when I learned it, I actually like coding better than doing the art for it.
Okay. Well, and I feel like nowadays there's so many more tools that make it so much easier that if it's something you want to get into, there is a way to do it.
So
definitely. Like all the middleware, like not just all the game engines, but like all the software that is available. You can, if you can draw a little, then you can get started in any kind of pixel art or more detailed. You can do skeleton animations. Everything is so easy to learn because of the internet. Obviously, you can learn just about everything online if you actually want to do it. And that's how I did it. I had to learn coding from the ground up. And well, I learned a lot of bad things as well, obviously, that I had to get rid of. But it's a good process. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. I really love it, how easy it is today to learn this kind of stuff.
Okay. Well, yeah, like I believe you watched our playthrough. We really enjoyed the game. Even if there were bugs and stuff.
Yeah.
Because I personally feel like story can really make or break a game, and the story is definitely there in this game.
Yeah, I remember how you it was a bit of a slow.
No, I just feel weird because many people have issue with it. How the story is told, it is there. I can guarantee everyone who were questioning it, it is there. It's just very fragmented how it's told.
As somebody that's played like Bloodborne and Dark Souls, the story is there in those games too, but you have to look for it.
Yeah, environmental storytelling is something I love. I really love it, and I try to get as good as possible at it, because I always think about when I look at a game, if a game has like very gamey areas, like in modern games, in a shooter game, especially third-person shooter, you go into an area, there's chest-high walls everywhere, and they are not there because there's a reason for them to be there, but they are there to accommodate gameplay. There's nothing wrong with that, but when you first start out making a story and then making a world for it and then turning that into a game, while the gameplay might not be the smoothest, like getting lost in a manor for one, people get lost in a manor because the rooms are kind of samey like in a real manor would, but that's a sacrifice I was really willing to make because I really want it to feel real.
I mean, I will clarify as far as that goes. Me personally getting lost, it's because I have a bad habit of not paying attention to where I'm at, and I just start wandering.
Yeah, we're like
no, I didn't mean it personally, but there was quite a lot of feedback.
I'm just saying from like personal experience. If I would have paid more attention, I don't think I would have gotten lost as much.
That was all on you, buddy.
That's just kind of that's my thoughts on that particular subject.
Yeah. Again, I can guarantee that if it was top down, about 90% less people would have got lost, because there's that video online that people can find of the first real build of Shrouded In Sanity, and that was top down, and you could see the rooms clearly. You know where you are. And even with the other rooms being blacked out, it was much easier to navigate. But again, I wanted to do something more interesting, so kind of backfired.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like we're not kind of a fan of, feeding information to people on the plate. We'd rather them kind of work it out for themselves if possible. I think it's a much more natural kind of.
And that works for me personally. I hate cutscenes. Like I never played. I honestly won't touch most Final Fantasy games. I never played Legend of Dragoon because I just don't want to sit through
1 second
hours for a game to have that environmental storytelling. I really enjoy it because I'm not having to. It's not forcing me to sit down and,
listen to it.
Yeah. Where
Sean?
it's just like, yeah.
I done screwed up.
What's that?
Oh, it's just like, you couldn't hear me for a bit because I done screwed up.
Okay, well.
Sadness. So it's just gonna be like hilarious when you have the video, because it's gonna be like ineffectually talks in the background, sad face.
We're just answering our questions from ghosts.
Yeah, I was wondering why you weren't giving any input. Did you hear what we were saying?
Oh yeah, no, I could hear all of you guys fine. It just, God damn it, OBS and Discord and.
Well, it happens.
You just thought we were being rude.
I actually just was like sad. I was just being sad. That was it.
So I mean, we caught the Lovecraft, theming and stuff like that pretty solidly.
That's because we're obsessed with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because we're both huge fans of Lovecraft. So like, through the door we started seeing the influences. But I was kind of curious, what influenced this game, inspired it, what were you trying to kind of channel with the environment and the imagery?
Well, as I said originally, it was more of a city, which was when I started it out, Bloodborne was barely even announced. So, but incidentally, it just happened to be very close to what I wanted. I love the Victorian era, visually anyway. Right. It's one of the most horrifying and terrible eras of human history. But at the same time, it's not a pleasant time for just about anyone.
Oh man,
it's very picturesque.
Oh, not just like the government doing some beautiful experiments on their own people and stuff like that. This is horrifying.
The people are terrible, but it's very picturesque.
Yes, there's something to be said about the visual style of it. And I think that's why Bloodborne worked really well as well, because Victorian times are not as much explored as they should be, because I think they are both horrifying and beautiful.
Right.
Something about that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go that way, but as I said, it was more of a survival horror game. I wanted to go more. Originally, there was no character building in it. There was no stat building, nothing like that. It was more survival horror. That's why it lists, Resident Evil as one of the influences, because the original first Resident Evil, or especially the remake, on the GameCube, and now it's on PC as well. That is, I think, one of the best survival horror games in the more action-oriented angle of it.
I was actually wondering if that was part of why you settled on like the design of the mansion.
Yes, that's part of the reason, and definitely I wanted to go that way.
I would definitely agree with you. Resident Evil did a fantastic job of capturing and creating a genre.
Well, it made the genre into what it is.
Yeah, I guess creating's not the right word to use, but it kind of
I know it's close. But yeah, Alone in the Dark as well, because Alone in the Dark, when I was but a VO child, I had a 486 computer. I think that was my first computer ever, which had a massive 33 megahertz processing power. That was a beast. Yeah, it had I think it had 2 megabytes of RAM. That was drastic. That was something. I think I might be wrong. Maybe
without any lag.
No. And back then, as a kid, we had this little game called Alone 1 and Alone 2.exe, and we started it up, and
great games.
Yes, me and my friends completely fell in love with,
They are great games. The remakes were not. They can.
No, obviously, nothing like that. Yeah. But Alone in the Dark 2 especially. While I love Alone in the Dark 1 as well, but 2 had, I think, an amazing manner. And I wanted to actually...
Especially with, like, the Lovecraftian themes that Alone in the Dark had,
yes.
I definitely got, like, vibes of that from Shrouded in Sanity.
The thing is, originally I wanted to have a hedge maze in Shrouded in Sanity, but because of the perspective change, it was impossible to put in. Because if it was top-down, you would have been able to navigate it. And there is one level in Alone in the Dark 1, which is one of my all-time favorites. It's very silly. It's an underground maze where you have the lantern and you have to navigate it like that. It's annoying as well, but I just love that.
That has the, what is it, like the worms or the boulders that...
I think it's the worm.
Yeah,
if I remember correctly.
No, I remember that, and it... Definitely a frustrating experience, but also really, really enjoyable.
Yeah, I really love that genre, and I really miss the fixed camera angle games. I understand that some people hate them, but one day I want to make one game at least.
Well,
yeah.
The fixed camera angle, that's kind of how you get that air of suspensefulness, because you can't see around the corner.
It also actually is really nice for like framing events and everything to occur. Yes. But the problem being controls really mucky.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm reminded of very early in the first Resident Evil game, there's one incident where you walk through a door and the camera doesn't follow you. And then you start backing out of the door, and there's a zombie in front of you. So,
you could say that it's artificial dread and whatnot, but I love it as well as understand why people hate it. And that's why I want to make one of my first 3D games is definitely gonna be, if not the first 3D project that we're gonna do. So get ready, Jam. One of the first 3D projects we're gonna do is definitely gonna be a survival horror with fixed camera as well as behind the back. If someone can't stand it, they will be able to play it without having to say nope, not touching this.
I mean,
I want to do that.
I think that's a nice enough touch, of here's how it's intended to be played, but you can also play it like this.
Yeah, it's I understand why people don't like it, but as well, I just love the camera angles. That's a mastery, to put them right and to put them just so that you see enough and just so that there is enough dread. Because in my opinion, horror is more about the suspense than the actual whoa, I'm scared, jump scare, or the actual payoff.
I'm very outspoken. I find that games that are nothing but jump scares are not scary.